the courts across the country that have actually looked at the evidence have repeatedly found that the claims about the harms of this treatment just do not hold up to even the slightest bit of scrutiny.
Puberty blockers are unbelievably unsafe. Okay? This person is lying. This person is lying to you. I'm going to give you the name. Chase Strangio. Okay.
Sounds made up.
It does. So the left.
It is.
It sounds like a Marvel villain.
Yes, it does. Like a very boring one.
Dr. Strangio.
He just does trans surgeries on kids.
What does he do? Strange thing.
Mutilates children.
He's from Europe. He doesn't put his eggs in the fridge. Strangio.
That's not what he does.
He holds the trans stone.
Yes.
He has to unlock it.
The confused stone?
Yeah. Stone of confusion.
So the left right now, they're in a kind of a civil war. You'll see a lot of people on the left who are furious about the fact that they lost this election. A lot of people, the old school people, the James Carvilles, think that the left lost because they unfortunately went too far left in all these social justice issues. Trans issues were. I wouldn't even say they were at the forefront of this election. I would say they were in the background, but Americans were tired of it and know this is what the party is actually about. So you have people on the left right now who want to get away from that. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. They cannot. They cannot get away from it because of the case right now that will be before the Supreme Court. One thing I want you to remember is never allow the left to gaslight you and say, why are you turning this into an issue? No one's talking about the trans in sports. No one's talking about children transitioning. Why are you making this an issue? Well, hold on a second. What's before the Supreme Court? And how does that affect me as a parent and my child if they want to get gender reassignment surgery or puberty blockers? Wait, are you actually trying to bring this right now as a civil rights case to the Supreme Court and take my children away? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. So right now, that's the reality. But when the left says we need to sort of avoid these issues, what they mean is they need to lie to you about it. They need to lie to you and hide the woke kind of cultural issues that they have been spearheading, that they have made their raison d'etre. They have to hide it to trick you long enough to win an election. That's really what they mean. And you hear them constantly now saying, we got to focus a little bit less on the woke stuff. Lie about it.
What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what, we did? Oh, right, and then re-elected him.
What do you make of that compilation, and was woke overdone?
This is like trying to wash clothes that's got smoke all over them. You can't get the stench out.
The Democrats need to focus less on who is woke and more on who is broke.
I was just speaking authentically as a parent.
Good rhyme,
about
man.
One of many issues where Democrats are just out of touch with the majority of Americans. And I stand by my position, even though I may not have used exactly the right words.
Okay, good. So what the left means when they're saying this is a solution is to abandon that because it's un-American. It's a violation of basic parental rights and, by the way, human rights. Let's move forward where we all get on the same somewhat sensible page and we're disagreeing on maybe foreign policy and taxes. Oh, no, wait, sorry.
No.
They mean lie to you. Because Wednesday, the Supreme Court is going to be hearing the Biden administration's challenge to the Tennessee law that bans transgender care, meaning reassignment and hormone therapy for minors. So this Wednesday, the Supreme Court is going to be hearing a case where the Biden administration took it upon themselves to say, hey, a state should have no right to allow parents to make decisions for their children as it relates to puberty blockers, sex changes, etc. You really think that this party, you really think this party can straighten up and fly right? Let me tell you what this case is. It's U.S. versus, I want to make sure I get the name right, U.S. versus Scrimeti, and it's going to be argued by a trans ACLU lawyer. I'm going to get into this case and who this lawyer is, because you're going to be hearing quite a bit about this person. Chase Strangio, which brings us to our first installment, likely first of many, of Strangio things.
It's like a French pervert. Looks like Pepe Le Pew in real life. It looks like a costume you'd buy to be Bonnie and Clyde.
Well, you see,
Just needs a striped suit and a Tommy gun. What a stupid person that is in real life. Oh my God.
We need to start the segment.
well, it gets even worse. Trust me, you're gonna have plenty of opportunities because this is the lawyer. This is the lawyer from the ACLU. Isn't it funny? American Civil Liberties Union. This person would gladly support the intelligence agencies being involved in the government taking your children away if you say no puberty blockers for my son. If you say no chemical castration for my boy, no suturing up the vagina of my daughter because she's only 10, this person, this lawyer from the ACLU would gladly have them taken away from you. Isn't that fun? So let's hear Chase Strangio describe what this case before the Supreme Court is about.
Next week, Chase Strangio will make history as the first openly transgender lawyer to make oral arguments before the Supreme Court
Dinosaur
as the
News
justices
Network here.
consider Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming hormone therapies for transgender minors.
Thank you for having me. We are before the Supreme Court
That's
at
her
this
voice?
moment when transgender people are under so much scrutiny. And this comes on the tail of 24 states banning evidence-based medicine for transgender adolescents.
Okay, so a couple of things. First off, you're going to hear this term a lot, evidence-based medicine. It almost should be an antonym because it's the opposite of evidence-based anything, just like we heard that during COVID.
Yeah.
This, just to be clear, this case, if it were to go the wrong way, it's no longer a state issue. You understand that what happened in Tim Walz' estate, Minnesota, would be national. States would not have permission to ban transgender surgery or hormone replacement therapy for minors. So don't tell me that we're making this an issue. Just to be clear about what this case is. Let me also give you one more example before I get into this. You may not know this. It's very important to read dissenting opinions when you're talking about a Supreme Court case. So as it relates to firearms, Heller versus DC, the dissenting opinions, right? You now have, congratulations, you have the right to own guns. I know what you're thinking. Well, no leftist wants to stop that. They just want magazine capacity bans. No. The dissenting opinions in Heller versus DC said you actually have no right to own a firearm as a private citizen whatsoever. So if they had ruled the other way on Heller versus DC, you wouldn't be allowed to own a gun if your governor said they didn't like it. So when you have to distill it, when you actually have to get down to the legal case and ruling, you do end up with a binary decision. Where are we here? This is going to go one of two ways. States can ban transitioning care, meaning surgery, hormone replacement therapy, depending on the state. States have the right to say we won't do that in our state with minors. Or the other side, which Chase Strangio is arguing, is actually at a federal level, all minors should be able to get the kind of care that they claim they demand, and the state would have the right to remove these minors from your care as a parent if you don't allow it. It's going to go one of those two ways. Don't let them tell you that you're making this an issue. So let's get into this case a little bit, the evidence-based medicine. This specifically challenges the Tennessee law that bans hormone replacement therapy and puberty blockers. Now, if you think that I'm doing a straw man or the intellectual fallacy of slippery slope, rewind, 5 years. Did you ever think we were going to have this conversation, that there would be a Supreme Court case on hormone therapy and puberty blockers for your, not giving them to your children would be a violation of human rights? Remember when they said we're not coming for your kids? Remember when they said this has nothing to do with but this has nothing to do with sports. We're not saying that biological males should be allowed in contact sports. Remember that? Yeah. Well, we're already down that slippery slope. So this is about puberty blockers and hormone replacement therapy. You really think that it would be a bridge too far as far as gender reassignment surgery? Comment below. Let me know if you think I'm just way out in left field. And this, of course, this law would involve fines for doctors who violate the order. It would be a complete overhaul of our healthcare system that would include transitioning minors. Okay, so the law that was signed in 2023, just to be clear, Governor Bill Lee, we're talking about Tennessee, it bans care if it is for the purpose of, I want to read you what the law says. 1, enabling a minor to identify with or live as a purported identity inconsistent with the immutable characteristics of the reproductive system that define the minor as male or female, as determined by anatomy and genetics existing at the time of birth, meaning the minor's sex, or treating purported discomfort or distress from a discordance between the minor's sex and asserted identity. So, really what this law in Tennessee says is, no, we're not going to be giving transition drugs to minors. We're not going to be doing that. That's effectively.
And look, I want people to look at the wordplay that's going on here too, right? So when you say minor is kind of a middle term for me. Minor, like I understand exactly what minor means, but we're not really just talking about like 14, 15, 16-year-old people that would be considered minors. What he used as a term was adolescence, which I think is a murky term for a lot of people. You understand what it means, but it's not the same. Here's the term we should be using. Children. Every single time, use that word children, because that is what they mean. Don't take my word for it. Later on, when we get to a clip, there's a kid that talks about this in Texas that was at age 5 when they started having some kind of ramifications from this. So every time you see minor, adolescents come out of those guys' mouth, it's children that we're talking about. That drives the point home.
What about non-voters?
Yeah, good point.
Can't even vote for the right to save themselves.
Yeah, so let's go through the claims that are being made here, because this is what's at stake at the Supreme Court. I think it'll rule the sensible way, but what's at stake is your right to be a parent. So here's a claim, though. And this is how they're building their case. Dr. Strangio argues that the law not allowing transitionary care for children is sex discrimination, and that really, actually, trans treatment, all of this, puberty blockers, is completely safe.
So if you take, for example, a transgender adolescent boy, he cannot receive testosterone to live consistent with his male identity because he was assigned female at birth. Had he been assigned male at birth, he could receive that same medication for that same purpose. That is sex discrimination, and Tennessee has to justify it, which the district court concluded that Tennessee just simply did not. The courts across the country that have actually looked at the evidence have repeatedly found that the claims about the harms of this treatment just do not hold up to even the slightest bit of scrutiny. But of course, we lost in the appellate court. We're now before the Supreme Court making the case that this is just a plain and simple example of sex discrimination, and the fact that it's sex discrimination against trans people doesn't make it any less unconstitutional.
By the way, also, this person believes it's unconstitutional to ban biological males from competing in female contact sports. So we'll get to a couple of things here. But first off, this is the trick they play, right? Evidence-based medicine say the evidence just doesn't hold up to scrutiny. There's some truth to that, in that we don't have a lot of long-term evidence, in the sense that we have not put young girls on testosterone for long enough to know, and enough members, by the way, enough participants to know the long-term ill health effects. But to act as though we don't have evidence for what takes place as it relates to supraphysiological doses of testosterone is absurd. It is one of the most well-documented subjects of study in medical performance literature as it relates to performance enhancement drugs. It's not even up for debate. So let's go through this. The first truth. Puberty blockers are unbelievably unsafe. Okay? This person is lying. This person is lying to you, Strangio. In March, Britain's NHS completely stopped prescribing puberty blockers, saying that there is not enough evidence to support the safety or clinical effectiveness of PSH to make the treatment routinely available at this time. And that may be due to the fact that all the research we have available shows that puberty blockers can decrease bone density. That makes sense if you know what they do. Decrease fertility, stunt bone growth. It could cause seizures. It can cause irreversible frozen prepubescence. More than 10,000 adverse effects have been reported by patients to the FDA after using just the puberty blocking drug Lupron. By the way, you probably know this. Lupron, which is used as a puberty blocker, was the drug we used to use to chemically castrate sex offenders.
Jeez.
When given to teenage or adolescent boys, however, well, I don't know. We don't have the science. So we do have the evidence to show that it worked as a chemical sterilization, a chemical castration drug to the point that it was used. What they mean to tell you is we don't have, there's no evidence that shows there are long-term ill health effects to giving it to boys, because you just started. Because you just started. It doesn't mean that we don't know how the drug works and the effects that it has. It is catastrophic. Nothing good comes from this drug being given to a young boy. They are saying, let's make your children the medical experiments, and they're demanding that the Supreme Court legislate from the bench nationally. How evil can you get? Here's another truth. They say, well, we don't, for example, a girl taking testosterone, there's just the evidence doesn't hold up to scrutiny. No, that's not true. Cross-sex hormones are unbelievably dangerous, okay? Medically, it's observable. So, for example, and this is really important because we do have plenty of documentation on testosterone in men, testosterone replacement therapy, for example, if kept well within the normal ranges, could be a miracle for people who are aging or people who actually do have pituitary disorders and don't make testosterone. We know with certainty that once you get to supraphysiological doses, meaning for a man, to a performance-enhancing dose, meaning to the point that your body could not produce testosterone to this level naturally, you have increased risk of heart disease, diabetes, you have fertility problems, you have irreversible physical changes, increased risk of stroke. Again, with men, if you're taking a man from the average, we've talked about this, the average male level of testosterone in your system might be between 300 or 400 to 1,000 nanograms per deciliter. If you get to the point where a man is taking testosterone and that number is maybe double, oh boy, the risks go up dramatically. A woman's natural testosterone level is 10 to 70 nanograms per deciliter, meaning they would be multiplying it by 15. What these children are doing is they're taking, so if a man, for example, might take steroids, or a female bodybuilder might take steroids, they're concerned about side effects. So a female athlete taking steroids is concerned about the side effect of facial hair, vocal changes, right, male pattern baldness. These transgender individuals are taking the drugs at crazy high doses specifically to induce the side effects. Do you understand that?
Jeez. That's how we got the She-Hulk.
Yes. Yes. Here's another truth. We do know that there are a lot of other ill health effects. So this even comes straight from the NIH. Limited data are available on the adverse drug reactions of gender-affirming hormone therapy, mainly due to the lack of population-based studies with adequate controls. What they're saying is we don't have evidence in young girls taking testosterone today to know the ill health effects by the time they are 30. We do know, does anyone here believe that we don't know the side effects of taking steroids? And again, Arnold, look at Mr. Olympia. They're not taking the level of anabolic hormones that these girls are taking to become boys, let alone puberty blockers.
Pubescent girls.
I don't even understand how this case got to where it is right now, right? Because he said in that video, it's the same. This whole thing rests on the ability for boys to be able to get this treatment and girls not to be able to get this treatment, right? Essentially, that's what he's saying. You're discriminating based on sex because they were assigned. I don't know. The doctor had eyes and I guess assigned a gender at birth.
Assigned by who? God.
Yes, exactly.
Funny, they believe in God.
It's not the same drug for the same purpose. Just to put a fine point on it, it may be the same drug. For the purpose with boys, it's to put it in the normal range that it should be in. Right. There is a deficiency there in the body, and the body will do very well with it in that normal range. For a girl, it is to make it something completely outside of what the body can actually handle. Right. And it brings on these kinds of side effects. I don't understand how judges can't see that. Thankfully, the appellate court apparently did, but I guess they didn't hear the case on the merits because he said every court that's heard the case on the merits has decided that we're right. Yeah. Right. So I just don't understand how it's even getting this far and how you can make that argument without looking at yourself and going, yeah, I'm kind of lying here. Yeah.
Like, well, that person looks at themselves and says they're attractive. So.
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's true.
And they tell you, why are you making this an issue? No one's making. They go, we want to get back to the issues. Remember that the new transgender representative, Nancy Mace, I forgot the name. Nancy Mace doesn't want to have, taking a dump in the ladies' room. Like, oh, I'm here to represent the people of Delaware. I'm here to talk about the issues. Oh, okay, great. So you don't support this going before the Supreme Court and kids being potentially taken away from their parents or doctors being fined for, actually honoring the Hippocratic Oath. Well, look, that's just the course they're going to decide it. I just went, oh, okay.
Right.
Have you supported it? Have you supported it? Have you supported the complete upending of our norms and the idea? Is there any more accepted societal norm than men and women are different? The left wants to do away with that and then tell you don't trust your institutions. So who is this person, this attorney? Chase Strangio. This is a woman-to-man trans, in case you couldn't tell, co-director of the ACLU's LGBT and HIV project. No idea how LGBT and HIV are connected. Wow. Represented Chelsea Manning in challenging the military transgender ban, made us safer, a more effective fighting force, and was listed in Time Magazine's top 100 most influential Zs of 2020.
Right. I think it's incredibly important to have trans lawyers litigating trans cases. If there are no trans lawyers, there's oftentimes no trans people participating in a dialogue about whether and how trans people should exist.
Okay, so Strangio Also, let me just go through so you can know who this person is who wants to bring this to the Supreme Court. And by the way, it's a very important tool in the toolbox to the left. This person, Strangio, also thinks that protecting kids is actually an attempt, and this is what they do. They make you feel guilty. You want to protect kids? You don't think kids should be? Well, okay. What that actually means is you want to kill trans people.
There was this rhetoric that they utilized saying that, well, these are kids, we have to protect them. They don't know, what they're doing. Of course, that doesn't really hold water in any sense. These pieces of legislation don't start and end with trans youth. You cannot make us untrans unless you make us not alive.
Oh, okay. See, I just thought that I was not allowing you to take a controlled substance that would cause irreparable harm and be medical malpractice. I understand now. You're saying that I'm a murderer.
Yes, murdering. Oh, actually, we just want you to wait until you're 18, and then you can make your own decision.
We'd have arguments for 17.
Yeah, in some states, just depending. Yeah.
And by the way, Strangio, female to male, or woman to man, whatever, transgender, is also, again, this is part of the dogma. Very, very, no idea how this person's affected by it, but pro-abortion.
We all need abortion because we cannot be free if we don't have freedom over our bodies, our self-determination, and our reproductive autonomy.
Gosh, looks like an uncool Travis Barker.
Or like a slingshot Kelly.
Yes. Looks like when Kat McKinnon was spoofing Justin Bieber's Calvin Klein ad.
Like Adam Lepine?
Yes.
Lil Peen? I don't know.
Lil Peen. Rapper.
This is going before the Supreme Court.
Yes.
I want to argue on behalf of the American people. Just can you imagine if the founding fathers tried to look at the Supreme Court case? They go, okay, well, who is the lawyer? What in God's name is that thing? So, Strangio,
the wig's better than mine.
Strangio, who just, by the way, just wants to make the case heard. He's not an activist. Also a founder of Trans Santa, trans themed, because I've always thought, as it relates to Christmas charities, there aren't enough transgender themed ones.
I wanted to just first thank everyone for your continued support of Trans Santa, a program that allows us to center the voices and experience of trans youth and enable them to get gifts during the holiday season.
Wait. They're not getting gifts?
Yeah.
Is it because they're trans? You're telling us right now that Santa skips their house?
Well, I'm looking at the list. Look at the list. Apparently, they've all been naughty.
Well,
because putting them on steroids has given them a little bit of the rage.
Or, family members might have not agreed with their decision.
Might not have agreed with their decision.
Anymore, so.
Yeah. And Trans Santa, just so not going to be going down your chimney. It'll be crawling up your chimney with a sigmoidoscope. So it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different.
It's a little smoky.
Yes.
Rudolph the brown-nosed reindeer.
That's not soot.
I know what you're thinking. Are you implying sexual deviancy? Yes. Yes, I am.
What does Trans Santa? Of course. Does he leave you presents in your ball sack hanging in the mantle?
And by the way, this Strangio also got with another girl who turned guy, Elliot Page, formerly Ellen Page, to send this message to trans children.
Hi, I'm Elliot Page.
I'm Chase Strangio. We just wanted to send a message of love to trans youth. We're here. We're thinking of you.
And
get him off the screen.
We support you, and we've got your back.
Yeah, why do trans females to males always choose to look like a douchebag guy?
Yeah. It's always a douchey dude.
Yes, it's never like you come out and like, oh, you look like, like a Gregory Peck. It's always the Chaz Bono with the chin strap beard and the chains and the tattoos and the Diddy Kong flat-billed baseball cap.
Yes, the white rapper. It's the Malibu's most unwanted,
yes,
really.
Exactly. It's like they always do that. It's just like how trans men, when they identify as women, all of a sudden, this idea of gender stereotypes that radically offends feminists is fine. The man dresses up like a Barbie. These girls, they dress up like douchebag guys who no real men would respect. This person also, just the cherry on top, refers to trans people or older trans people as, this is going to be before the Supreme Court, this person, as transcestors.
Today, we are choosing to build upon the legacies of our transcestors.
Yeah, but then
how? If you can't make babies, how are you? What?
You don't respect your transcestors?
Transcestors who dodged the 42% attempted suicide rate?
Yes.
Pre or post?
I'm so proud of my ancestors.
Oh my gosh. How many ancestors do you have?
Clip that.
Clip that. That sounded like a clip. Clip that.
The founding mothers to fathers. So,
Founding Z's.
So what would this case set as far as a precedent? And why are you making it an issue? Well, this would basically prevent any states from passing laws banning medical transitions of minors. That's really what we're talking about. They would declare it sex-based discrimination and unconstitutional to deny a child gender transition, right? And by the way, it would basically give approval, which the court shouldn't be doing medically, give medical approval to something that, of course, deserves no medical approval. The idea of gender affirming care. And by that we mean when they say gender affirming, what they really mean to say is injecting chemicals, injecting drugs and hormones that fly in the face of your biology and your body will try to reject forever for the rest of your life. You understand that, right? You understand that, right? You understand that the male body should not have estrogen in it to a level that a female would. You understand that even if women, by the way, their estrogen levels go high above the natural threshold, it's one of the first anti-breast cancer drugs they will give them as some kind of estrogen inhibitor or aromatase inhibitor or estrogen blocker. You understand that, right? You understand that the female body is designed to use the term homeostasis, to keep a certain testosterone level within a range that allows a female to still be a female and maintain fertility and feminine features. You understand that your body actually has a natural state, almost a God-given state that you are trying to alter and your body continually rejects. You also understand when you get to transition surgery that if you create a fake vagina, you have to constantly reopen it with a medical device. It's basically a glorified, less fun dildo. Otherwise, your body tries to close it as a wound. You understand that your body tries to reject the appendage when you put on a fake penis. So let's take all of this and thrust it upon children. That's what's before the Supreme Court. Why are you making it an issue? This is literally the Biden-Harris administration bringing it before the Supreme Court. It's going to be heard Wednesday, and it's being argued by the most, and this is someone who's chosen by the Biden administration, the most radical trans activist who you can picture. That's what's happening Wednesday. Make it an issue. Make it an issue.
Is it unreasonable for me as a parent to be concerned about a slippery slope here? Like, is it unreasonable for me to be concerned that, well, this will lead to other things that will let minors do?
No, it's not.
Are we going to lower the consent age?
Well, you would think so. Hey, these people are making...
Am I crazy for worrying about that?
No, think about it. These kids are making decisions that will permanently alter their sex lives when they don't have the ability to consent to sex.
That's exactly the point that exactly. You said it way better than but...
Think about it. It's like, hey, you ever had a climax? No. Oh, okay. So you don't know if you're going to like it. You don't know if it's going to be good. I'm going to tell you, spoiler alert, they're pretty good. But you may never be able to have one. Why? Well, it's tough. When you cut off your dick, 9-year-old, I don't know if you know this, but at some point, you're going to be fond of that dick. You're going to want it because things feel good. And you know what? Hopefully in a monogamous relationship with it. No. We're going to let you cut it off and permanently damage your sex life, which you have yet to even begin because you're not at the age of consent. Think about that. That is what is before the Supreme Court this Wednesday. I don't know why more people aren't talking about it on the right. People on the left are galvanized and thrilled about this. Just go check out Reddit politics or the Democrat underground. And that's been, I don't have any more in me, this week's Strangio things. Hey, if you're still watching this, I appreciate it. And let's just shoot straight. Obviously, you have a lot of time on your hands. You're not doing anything today. So comment below. It helps with the YouTube algorithms from the overlords, or just watch one of these other. If you want to kill some more time, watch this video here. It's going to be very similar. And shoot, I rolled over my headphone cord. It doesn't just click. Is that broken?